And that's part 3. On rainy days, I wrote postcards and helped out around the apartment. I told Aunt Nanette about the things I like to do back home, about baseball games, train watching, my birthday. She told me about the special Caribbean lemon and mango cake she was going to make. My Uncle Romie stayed hidden away in his studio. But I wasn't worried anymore. Aunt Nanette would make my birthday special. 4, 3, 2, 1. My birthday was almost here. And then Aunt Nanette got a phone call. An old aunt has died, James. I have to go away for her funeral. But don't you worry. Uncle Romie will spend your birthday with you. It'll be just fine. So, how does James feel about Aunt Nanette leaving for his birthday? You see, she has to go to the funeral. Her aunt died and she has to go to see her off. So she needs to leave and James must be alone with Uncle Romie. How does he feel about that? He doesn't feel good, right? Yeah, he is very, very sad. Let's continue. That night, Aunt Nanette kissed me goodbye. I knew it would not be fine at all. Uncle Romie didn't know about cakes or baseball games or anything except his dumb old paintings. My birthday was ruined. When the sky turned black, I tucked myself into bed. I missed Mama and Daddy so much. I listened to the birds on the rooftop. Their songs continued into the night. The next morning, everything was quiet. I crept out of bed and into the hall. For the first time, the door to Uncle Romie's studio stood wide open. What a glorious mess! There were paints and scraps all over the floor, and around the edges were huge paintings with all sorts of pieces pasted together. Question: why did Uncle Romie usually keep the door to his studio closed? Yes, you guessed it, because it was really, really messy. And he didn't want to be disturbed, maybe. Next page. I saw saxophones, birds, fire escapes, and brown faces. It's Harlem, I thought. The people, the music, the rooftops, and the stoops. Looking at Uncle Romie's paintings, I could feel Harlem, its beat and bounce. Then there was one that was different. Smaller houses, flowers, and trains. That's home, I shouted. Yep, Uncle Romie said, smiling from the doorway. That's the Carolina I remember. So you see, when James entered the studio, Uncle Romie's studio, he saw his paintings of Harlem. And he was so amazed because he could almost feel Harlem from the paintings. And then he saw another painting of small houses and flowers and trains, and that was North Carolina, a place where James come from, and also Uncle Romie, he grew up in there. Mama says you visited our grandparents there there most every summer when you were a kid, I said. I sure did, James. Now that's the place for pepper jelly, smeared thick on biscuits. And when Grandma wasn't looking, I would sneak some on a spoon. Daddy and I do that too, I told him. We laughed together, then walked to the kitchen for a breakfast feast. Eggs, bacon, grits, and biscuits. James, you've got me remembering the pepper jelly lady. People used to line up down the block to buy her preserves. Could you put someone like that in one of your paintings? I asked. So, You see, when he woke up in the morning, James was so worried because it was quiet, but Uncle Romie was there, and they started talking to each other about pepper jelly. It's a kind of a food like a marmalade, but it's not so sweet, but it's kind of sweet, like a peanut butter. And what Uncle James he said that he loved to put pepper jelly on a biscuit or sometimes lick it from the spoon. And James said, "Yeah, I like that too." So they found out that they have some things in common. So, where did Uncle James grow up? In North Carolina, same like James. What is one way Uncle Romie and James are alike? How are they alike? They both love to eat pepper jelly. What happens when James and Uncle Romie have breakfast together? They start talking to each other before they did not. Let's go to the next page. I guess I could, Uncle Romie nodded. Yes, that's a memory just right for sharing. What a good idea, James. Now let's get this birthday going. He brought out two presents from home. I tore into the packages while he got down the pepper jelly and two huge spoons. Mama and Daddy had picked out just what I wanted, a special case for my baseball cards and a model train for me to build. Pretty cool, said Uncle Romie. I used to watch trains down in North Carolina, you know. How funny to picture big Uncle Romie lying on his big belly. BJ and me, we have contests to see who can hear the trains first. Hey, I did that too. You know, it's a funny thing, James. People live in all sorts of different places and families, but the things we care about are pretty much the same, like favorite foods, special songs, games, stories, and like birthdays. Uncle Romie held up two tickets to a baseball game. It turns out Uncle Romie knows all about baseball. He was even a star pitcher in college. We got our mitts and set up for the game. Way up in the bleachers, we shared a bag of peanuts, cracking the shells with our teeth and keeping our mitts ready in case a home run ball came our way. That didn't happen, but we sure had fun. Okay, I hope you understand what happened on this page. James just found out that he had lots of things in common with Uncle Romie. Was James's birthday ruined? Not at all, because James and Uncle Romie have a great time, and James realizes that they have so many things in common after all. And Uncle Romie, he knows a lot of things about baseball because he was a pitcher when he was in college and university. So his birthday was not ruined at all. Aunt Nanette came home that night. She lit the candles and we all shared my Caribbean birthday cake. After that, Uncle Romie had to work a lot again. But at the end of each day, he let me sit with him in his studio and talk. Daddy was right. Uncle Romie is a good man. The day of the big art show finally came. I watched the people laughing and talking, walking slowly around the room from painting to painting. I walked around myself, listening to their conversations. What can you tell me about Aunt Nanette? What kind of person is she? What do you think? Yes, she is really caring lady. She really likes people. She is very kind, very nice, very polite. How did James feel about Uncle Romie now? He thought that Uncle Romie was really a good man, and his dad was right. Now we are reading about the art show. Remember our first train ride from Chicago to New York? One lady asked her husband. That guitar playing man reminds me of my Uncle Joey, said another. All these strangers talking to each other about their families and friends and special times, and all because of how my Uncle Romie's paintings reminded them of these things. Later that night, Daddy called. I have a brand new brother and sister. Daddy said they were both bold and made a lot of noise, but he sounded happy and said how they all missed me. This time Aunt Nanette and Uncle Romie took me to the train station. So, what did James think of Uncle Romie's art at the beginning of the story? He thought that it was lots of mess and that it was dull. Do you remember? It was quite easy peasy. Now, what does James think of Uncle Romie's art now? That it is really, really cool because it brings the memories to other people. What does James see in Uncle Romie's paintings? Pieces of his life, memories of lives of other people, and things that bring people's past, something that people remember. Here's a late birthday present for you, James, Uncle Romie said, holding out the package. Open it on the train. Why don't you? It'll help pass the time on the long ride home. I waved out the window to Uncle Romie and Aunt Nanette until I couldn't see them anymore. Then I ripped off the wrappings. And there was my summer in New York. Bright sky in one corner, city lights at night in another. Tall buildings, baseball ticket stubs, the label from the pepper jelly jar. And trains, one going toward the skyscrapers, another going away. Back home, I lay in the soft North Carolina grass. It was the 1st of September, almost Uncle Romie's birthday. I watched the birds streak across the sky. Rooftop birds, I thought, back home from their summer in New York just like me. Watching them, I could still feel the city's beat inside my head. A feather drifted down from the sky. In the garden, tiger lilies bent in the wind. Uncle Romie's favorite flowers. I yanked off a few blossoms, and then I was off on a treasure hunt, collecting things that reminded me of Uncle Romie. I painted and pasted them together on a big piece of cardboard. Right in the middle, I put the train schedule, and at the top, I wrote, Happy birthday, Uncle Romie. You see what James did for Uncle's birthday? He made for him a collage of all kinds of memories from North Carolina. What is the theme of this story? What did you learn from the story, boys and girls? That sometimes when you see a person for the first time, you might have different impression of them. Maybe that impression, maybe that picture is not right unless you get to know the people. It takes time to get to know the people, right? So you do not judge people from the first time you meet them. You should get to know them. How do you know that this story is a historical fiction? Because it tells a story from the past, and you can see it from the pictures in the story. Number 2, why did James have to go to New York and spend the summer with his Uncle Romie and Aunt Nanette? Because his mom was going to have twins, and she needed to rest. Number 3, how did James's feelings about Uncle Romie change from the beginning to the end of the story? Well, at the beginning, he was really scared of Uncle Romie. He thought that he looked scary and giant, but later on, he come to like him. He thought that he's a good man. Number 4, what did you learn from the story? We should not judge people from the way they look. We should get to know them first. What is the author's purpose for writing this story? to entertain us with a really nice story. Thank you, everyone. I know the story was very long, but here I have a surprise for you. Everyone, I made a collage of grade 3. Yeah! Collage of your best memories. This is grade 3A and 3B and 3C as well. And here is collage for grade 3A. Yes, girls, you rock. And here is collage of grade 3B. Yes, boys, you are the best. I will miss you so, so, so much. And here is one more collage for you, grade 3B. Yes, good memories of good days. And here is collage for grade 3C. Yes, boys, we will miss you so, so much. You did really great job this academic year. And more collage of 3C. That is a collage when you put some pictures together. Grade 3 students, all of the teachers will miss you. Bye bye.